everyone, this is Joshua, Future Filmmaker Reviews. I talk movies, TV, and music. Welcome to Phase 3 of this MCU tier list. I've already covered Phase 1 and Phase 2 if you want to check them out. This is my second favorite phase of this Epictastic franchise that has a few downers, but I still enjoy this franchise for the most part. All that's left is the TV show tier list and Phase 4, and we are done. Remember with Phase 4, before I get into that one, I will only be including just the movies and the Werewolf by Night special. I'm not going to include any of the TV shows because I want to gather all the TV shows up in one big tier list together. But here we are, 11 movies, a pretty controversial opinions here. Let's go. You already know where the categories ranges. Spider-Verse worthy is the best and unworthy territory is the absolute worst. So with that being said, let's kick it off, shall we? Okay, you guys love horror? Of course you do. Well, I want to take a little PSA to talk to you about the inspiring world of horror. The movies that influenced generations, written by my fellow YouTube friend and a good friend of mine who invited me onto this, Mr. Caillou Pettis. In this book, there's a series of stories and reviews and essays put from more than 30 names in the entertainment industry, such as Jeffrey Reddick, the writer of Escape Room Tournament of Champions, Eliza Kephart, Mark Steensland, and even people who are fans and YouTubers and authors and film critics like Dead Meat, Sir Spooks, and myself included. We talk about a series of movies in the horror genre that is one of the most diverse genres to this day. And we have a lot of detailed discussions of movies from 1920s all the way up to the present. These movies ranges from such as the Universal Classics, to Dr. Sleep, to Last Night in Soho, Phantom of the Opera, The Wolf Man, Carnival of Souls, Rosemary's Baby, Jaws, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Nightmare on Elm Street, Alien, which I did a piece on, but is unfortunately not included in the book, Original Candyman, the Fear Street trilogy, a bunch of different horror movies from all different years, all different eras. If you are a fan of horror, I would suggest definitely picking this book up. I was very happy to have taken the part in talking about the original Candyman, and while I would love for you all to read my thoughts on Alien, I'm sure Caillou might be saving something. Maybe he's going to talk about the inspiration of sci-fi. This is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and available for Kindle Fire, or wherever books are sold, with the exception of Walmart. If you get this off Amazon or Barnes, it will cost you $15 for paperback and $20 for hardcover. If you are a fan of horror, definitely get this book. You will have a great read. And with that being said, stay talking horror and stay epitastic. I got a little unpopular opinion here. And let's do this. Captain Marvel, we'll start with you. Get ready to shoot me in the comments because Captain Marvel, I'm probably one of the only few people who's gonna do it, but you're going in epitastic fun. It's got its problems for sure, okay? Some of the characterization of Carol Danvers isn't the best. Yes, the writing for her could have been a little bit more stronger. Yes, the villain isn't that great, and what they do with Nick Fury's eye is a bit too much and a little bit silly, but everything else about this movie works. I love Brie Larson in the role. Haters go hate, but seriously, come on, what's the problem? Oh, it's not Natalie Dormer. Oh, it's not Rebecca Ferguson. I'm just gonna say it right now. If this was Rebecca Ferguson, I think she would make this 1,000 times worse than most people claim it is. That's just me. Haters are gonna hate all they want, but I still really love this. I think Brie is kick-ass here as Carol Danvers and Captain Marvel. Put aside your stupid controversy for this actress and leave her alone. Just because she's a feminist, that doesn't mean she hates men. Give me a fucking break.
That's right. You should think long and hard about what you did.
Also, I gotta say, she's great in the movie. I can't wait to see where she's gonna take this character in the Marvels. I liked her little cameos in Shang-Chi and Miss Marvel. The characterization for her could have been stronger, but I do think Nia DaCosta has the potential to make the characterization very much more stronger with her. Yes, it is a second tier MCU film. It is a phase 1 film, but I think this is a very solid origin film. It's very bizarre, non-linear structure. It's a unique way of going past the usual origin storytelling tropes that's been done for a while. Brie is great in the role. She holds her own. I like the sassiness here. She has some fun banter with Samuel L. Jackson. I wanted a little bit more of Agent Coulson and Jude Law. There's one moment near the end, like I said, Nick Fury's eye, yes. It also does have some phase 1 things that could make this phase 1. I think some of the rest of the cast, like Gemma Chan and Lashana Lynch and Annette Bening and Digimon Hansu, they're all pretty good. I love seeing the cosmic world. I like some of the development we do get for her. She may be a overpowered character, but she is one of the better overpowered characters I've seen. This is my personal opinion. You don't like Captain Marvel, fine, but I can't just hate this movie because everyone else is doing it. Not everyone has to love it, but you're going right in the Epictastic Fun category where you belong. Ant-Man the Wasp, you're the same way. You're going to Epictastic Fun. Why do you guys hate these Ant-Man movies so much? I'll never know. But you know what? I like this movie, okay? I like this. It's pretty awesome. I do enjoy Ant-Man the Wasp. It's a lot of fun. It's very small scale. Yes, it does have that little stinger at the end that does tie into Infinity War and Endgame. But I think this is one of the more underrated gems in here. Ghost, I've grown to appreciate Hannah John Kamen. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with her and Olga Kurylenko and the Thunderbolts. Maybe that could be good. I do like Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly's chemistry. I love the fact that they put the Wasp in the suits. Michael Pena is still fun. I like Bobby Cannavale. I still love the father and daughter relationship between Cassie and Scott in here. I can't wait to see where it's going to go in Quantumanium. Despite how I feel about Kang the Conqueror, I want to try. And I like some of the comedy here, and the cinematography here is really well done. I like the production design, the visual effects. It's a fun action scene. And you know what? For the flaws, I do have my issues with it. I'll get into it. Yes, the villain could have been a little bit more stronger, despite me growing on her. I will say the movie is just a tad bit too lengthy, but you know what? It's simple, and it's a small MCU project that doesn't aim to change the landscape, but it's very entertaining nevertheless. And that's what I love about something like this. Just to be entertaining. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. And it is pretty fun. And you know what? If you're gonna be fun, just be fun. Black Panther. This is going to be in the Spider-Verse worthy. So this is gonna be a very hard. I'm gonna be honest. This was hard rewatching back in 2020 after Chad was passing. It was really hard watching this movie because you know that what happened, and you do understand why this movie is so beloved. It made $1 billion. It showed that you can have a black lead once again in a superhero movie, and this is the first Marvel black superhero movie since Blade. So put some respect on Blade's name for those who are saying this is the first Marvel black superhero. Blade did it first. Chadwick Boseman, for his only solo appearance as T'Challa, I thought he was great. It's hard rewatching his scenes now in this Civil War and Infinity War and Endgame because you know he's no longer with us. The man had more to give us, and if he was still around, if cancer wasn't such a pain in the ass, he would still be here to give us more of what he had. But for what he had, I think he did great. Michael B. Jordan was awesome. I loved the rest of the cast: Shuri, Angela Bassett, Lupita Nyong'o, Martin Freeman, Andy Serkis. Cinematography, Ryan Coogler's direction, the world of Wakanda, seeing the world, the representation, and the score. I think this is a fantastic film. I know some people call it overrated, but you know what? There's not shit overrated about this movie. I will say the only thing I don't like about this movie is some of the effects at the end with the big fight between Killmonger and T'Challa. And like I said, it can be a bit of a rough watching now because you know Chadwick is gone. But long live the king and Wakanda forever. I hope it's amazing. Doctor Strange, you can sit in the Epitastic Fun category. And you want to know something? I actually thought this movie was going to suck. I actually did. When the trailers were being promoted, when I was seeing the marketing for it, I was like, I have no faith in this. This is gonna bomb. But imagine my surprise. I watched the movie, everyone sat down, we were all taken away by it. I actually have a magazine with Doctor Strange on it. My first watch of it, I just found it to be a bit slow, but I did overall love it overall. I rewatched it again for Multiverse of Madness. I like this movie even more. It's not my favorite Doctor Strange movie, but I can say for his introductory movie, I think it's great. Benedict Cumberbatch gives a performance that should have been nominated for an Oscar. The visual effects are different, creative, and they're very awesome here. Seeing the more Inception, Kaleidoscope, multiversal, Matrixy, Inception type effects, I think are really well done. I love the world that they introduce here. Tilda Swinton, yes, she is a big miscast as Ancient One, and they will never whitewash that character again. Benedict Wong, I think he's a lot of fun for his first film. You got Rachel McAdams here. I think she's great as Christine Palmer. I don't know if she's going to be back for the third one because of the way that arc completed in Multiverse of Madness, but she was great here. Chiwetel Ejiofor as Mordo was great. Cinematography, Scott Derrickson's direction is great. It does feel like a standard templated MCU origin story. It is a little slow still in the first half, but it's exposition heavy, so I'm willing to go along with it. And Caecilius, despite Mads Mikkelsen's greatest efforts, I will say he's just okay villain. So besides that, I think Doctor Strange is a fun time. Right, so Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, you can sit down in the Spider-Verse worthy because Guardians of the Galaxy, again, why do y'all hate this so much? What is the problem? Seriously, I don't get it.
Why? You can't handle the truth.
You serious?
How can you hate a great film like this? It's just as great. I think it's even better than the first one in this planned trilogy. I can't wait for the Christmas special on Disney Plus in December. It has the idea of taking each of our Guardians of the Galaxy members and splitting them up. You have Peter reuniting with his father. You have Baby Groot and Rocket Raccoon on their adventures. You have the golden-faced Paris Hilton, which we will see more of her in Part 3. It introduces a new character in the case of Mantis, played by the lovely Pom Klementieff. I also really like the way the movie plays out in terms of the story they want to go with. The love story with Gamora and Star-Lord, Chris Pratt and Zoe Saldana, I buy it. This is the beginning of the Nebula redemption arc. Karen Gillan, huge kudos to Karen for having to go through the process of getting her hair cut off for this part, because she put herself through this, especially with makeup, and she has a great Nebula voice. And it was nice hearing her voice in Chadwick's episode of What If, which is the only episode I watched of that show. I don't know if I'll watch that show. There's a lot of varying opinions on it, but she's great as always. I love Karen Gillan. She's one of my celebrity crushes, one of my favorite redhead crushes. Visual effects are really good. I think the soundtrack is very good. When the movie gets you laughing, it makes you laughing. There are a few jokes that doesn't work. The emotional weight is there, especially towards the end when you find out about Peter's two true parents with Yondu. And also, I loved seeing Sylvester Stallone, and I like seeing the cameo of Miley Cyrus in this. Surprisingly, I don't know how I missed that. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, it's amazing. Stop, people, give this movie more respect, and I can't wait for Volume 3. Where are they gonna go with the Guardians after this? We don't know. It'll probably be a new set. If we do see Nebula again in the MCU, if Karen wants to keep playing, just give her something to do. Let her interact with the Marvels or something. That would be fun one day. But Guardians 3, you're Spider-Verse worthy. As for, yep, you know it, Spider-Verse worthy. I can hear the complaints from here. This is not a Captain America movie. This is Avengers 2.5. So what?
Shut the fuck up! There's a formula to it. A very simple formula!
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
It's a great Captain America movie. It does set up the pieces of Captain America Civil War, of Infinity War, I mean. Age of Ultron did a great job setting up the pieces of Civil War, where you have Tony and Steve. One side thinks it's right for the Sokovian laws. One side thinks it's wrong, and it gets this whole emotional battle between the two sides. You have heroes take sides, and you actually see how some of our Avengers get broken into sides in this. Black Widow, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Vision. Also, this was the introduction of T'Challa, which great introduction for him. Again, it's sad to watch his scenes in this movie because you do know what happened with Chadwick Boseman. And also, yeah, this was the introduction of Spider-Man. Tom Holland's Spider-Man. He's also a lot of fun in this movie. I love his reference to Empire Strikes Back. The airplane scene was so great. I love Sebastian Stan. I used to hate the twist of this movie, but I've grown to appreciate that plot twist because I actually think it's a very clever plot twist, especially when you harken it back to Winter Soldier, and this sends Iron Man into a rage. I will touch more about this when I get to Infinity War, but I really dug Captain America Civil War. The only real issue is the villain motivation. He does what he has to do, but that's really it. But still, a great, phenomenal film. This is going to be a little controversial, but Thor Ragnarok. I wouldn't put this in the Epictastic category, but you're still a fun movie. This is a movie I have grown to appreciate. Again, I definitely have my problems with this. Of course, with some of Taika Waititi's humor kind of undercutting the emotional parts of the story. I will say that is a bit of a frustrating thing that kind of pisses me off every time I rewatch it. And I do wish it was a little bit more restrained. I don't like the fact that Sif is not here. Granted, the actress herself did get hurt on the second movie and she was busy with someone else, which is why she couldn't take part in it. And I cannot stand the Grand Master in this movie.
I hate you, Walt freaking Whitman! Leaves of grass my ass!
You bastard!
One of the most insufferable characters of this entire MCU. He is so insufferable. I just literally want to clunk him in the jar. But that's not possible, so I can't do that. But other than that, Chris Hemsworth is great. I like Mark Ruffalo, Tessa Thompson, Tom Hiddleston. All the rest of the cast is great. Gila is one of the most sexiest villains you will ever see in a comic book movie or a movie in general. We need more female superhero villains being like this. Sexy and stunning, I'll take it. I like the colorful aspect tone. I do like the action scenes. I love the blend of comedy and humor. It works here more than it does in Thor: Love and Thunder. Trust me, we will get there. Because the more I think about that one, I'm kind of gonna put it in a spot that not many people would. But Thor Ragnarok, I think, is a fun movie. Two-part conclusion. Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Both of you are going in Spider-Verse worthy. What else can I say about Infinity War? It's a great third installment. The fact that it had to take 10 years of setup and all of these characters and put them into one movie to fight Thanos. And the fact that we actually get to see Thanos as a villain is really great. They build up to it. This movie gets dark. It has some emotional moments. The emotional weight is there. Characters die in here, which I don't expect. The final fight in Wakanda is very satisfying. Seeing all these heroes interact with each other are very, very good. Nebula and Gamora, they're great here. I will say Nebula is kind of underused a little bit, but that's because Karen has a busy career, and you know what? She ain't mad at it, but she's great here for the scenes she has. And a lot of you people on the internet, you get mad when Star-Lord gets upset at Thanos for killing Gamora, and he has to find out from Nebula, which I'm not even going to put any blame on Nebula. He had to find out. You guys get mad when Iron Man tries to calm him down, but yet when it comes to Iron Man, Captain America, Civil War, you people want to have a heart attack. That was... Howard Stark was Tony's father. If that was your father and mother, you'd be pissed off too. The only thing that stops me from giving it a full 5 out of 5 is I don't like the ending. I have never liked the ending. I never will like the ending. I appreciate the ambition you're going for, but it just puts me in a bad mood. Which is why every time I rewatch it, I have to skip to the post-credit scene with Captain Marvel's logo. And a lot of you people hate her in Avengers Endgame, but get over it. She's here to stay. You're not getting the recast. Endgame. Avengers Endgame. I know some people, I know a friend of mine has fallen out of love with this movie. I'm sorry, I can't fall out of love with this movie. This, again, you're taking 22 movies worth of Thanos, and it all leads here. This is the Deathly Hallows Part 2 of the MCU. Some people say Return of the King. I see this as more of the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Yes, the first half is extremely slow, where we get to see the grief. But the more I've watched this movie, the more I appreciate that. I still have my issues with the first half being so slow, and yes, there is some comedy that isn't really needed in there. I don't have a problem with the way they do Hulk. I do kind of wish it was a little more organic in a few areas, but that's it. And Fat Thor, I'm not even going to try to rest my case on it. I ain't got no problem with that. But the second and third half definitely does make up for the first half, as that last half hour with that big fight, some of the best MCU stuff. I know some people say the MCU isn't quality filmmaking. Bullshit. This is quality filmmaking. at its best. I love the action scenes in that final fight. Scarlet Witch damn near taking out Thanos with just her powers. She almost killed him, and she will succeeded, but shit happens. But you will get a taste of how strong she is again in Multiverse of Madness and in WandaVision in the final battle. Captain Marvel coming in, helping them fight the A-Force moment. I always geek out at that moment because that moment is representing female empowerment, and you know what? I'm for female empowerment. It's not woke. Tony's sacrifice, some of the most emotional stuff, and I initially hated the fact that he died when it came out, but this was the inevitable way. If you just have it's a Brie Larson killing Thanos, I kind of will agree with Sean, the very 2005-91, that would have been horrible, but I'm on John Avengers' side. It wouldn't really mean a damn thing. But Endgame, so satisfying. Which that leads me into the final two. Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm going to start with Spider-Man Homecoming. This was a return to form for Spider-Man immediately after the Raimi trilogy, and being very disappointed with the first Amazing Spider-Man and liking Amazing Spider-Man 2 despite more disappointment. We finally got Spider-Man back to his roots. Yes, it feels more like a John Hughes movie. Yes, they do talk about how hot Aunt May is. Yes, there are some moments of humor that could be a little bit better, and yes, you do have some changes to Spider-Man's origin and we don't see Uncle Ben, but I appreciate the fact they didn't want to do Uncle Ben's story again. We've been through this twice. Now, when it comes to Miles Morales, you are going to have no choice but to show his origin when he comes in the MCU, because you're not introducing Miles Morales without that origin. And speaking of Miles Morales, there's a little reference to him here in the deleted scene with Donald Glover where he says, I have a nephew. They don't say it by name, but that makes me very happy. Tom Holland, he's great here. Again, he's not the Spider-Man we know and love. This is more of a character progression for him in these first two movies leading up to No Way Home. But I think this is a great film. Zendaya, Michael Keaton, Laura Harrier. I also like the fact that this Peter loves black girls. Hey, interracial relationships is always going to be a thing with me, which honestly, we need more of that. Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy in live action, bring it on. Again, it has a few issues, but I overall do enjoy it. And can I just say that Marissa Tomei's Aunt May is very awesome in this. She's not in as much, but she's awesome. Far From Home, again, sorry, but I don't see the issues here. I can understand some of the comedy not working for you with Far From Home. I can understand if this is not the movie that Film Twitter wants, but seriously, Film Twitter is a bunch of toxic assholes sometimes. This is a fun movie. I love this sequel, and everything that was great about Homecoming, they doubled down here again. Some of the comedy I very much like. I like that we get more of the relationship with Peter and MJ and how that goes. Electro makes for a very great MCU villain. He's so awesome here. I love the special effects here. The fact that Spider-Man is out of his own world in this Homecoming trilogy, going on a vacation trip, I think that's very good. There's some great humor here, great action scenes. Samuel L. Jackson and Kobe Smulders is once again seeing them. This music is very good. I love the action scenes. That stinger at the end leads to something really great for Spider-Man fans of all generations in Spider-Man No Way Home, which you will have to wait to hear me where that's gonna go in Phase 4 after Wakanda Forever comes out. But I can understand if this is not for you. If these newer MCU Spider-Man movies are not for you, they're not for you. But we're getting more with Tom Holland, and people are just gonna have to accept it. If you don't like it, fine, but don't trash it because it's popular. And if we do get Miles Morales in the MCU, which we are, because it's coming and Miles is very successful right now, I hope he is accepted is the same way. But Spider-Man Far From Home, I think this is a phenomenal film. I rest my case, and I will die on that hill. Well, that's going to do it for the video that you just watched. I will have my channel here, so you would like to see anything here. Click the channel icon, subscribe for more. I will also leave a video and maybe a playlist here, so in case you want to see what I'm about. As always, stay Epictasticness, join the Epictasticness, and you guys keep it cool.